I was up until 2 a.m. last night watching this show, and I have to say, totally worth it. This globe-trotting, hugely ambitious, highly budgeted sci-fi show from Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, might just turn out to be the best show of 2025. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cine Chap, and today we're going to be talking about Pluribus, episode 1 and 2. So this is the highly anticipated sci-fi show from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul creator Vince Gilligan, who is writing and directing these first two episodes. And I have to say, he's really knocked it out the park. This is an incredibly strong first episode. So to start it off, I'm just going to give you a quick summary on my thoughts without any spoilers, and then we're going to dive in to what happens in these episodes, think about what it might mean for the show going forward. I've got some thoughts and ideas on that, and we'll go into full spoilers then, and I'll talk about everything that's happened. So, the summary, without spoilers, I think this first episode in particular is really, really strong. It's an excellent pilot. Pilots, a lot of the time, fall short in terms of setting up the stakes, and it's very hard to make a good pilot, to lay down everything all the questions that a showrunner wants to ask in a show, but also leave enough there that leaves people wanting to come back for more. So it's hard to make a satisfying episode that also leads into the future. But I think Pluribus here does a really good job. And just to start off, I think this was a show wrapped in a lot of mystery. There were all these random, seemingly clips released, like we had that one of a woman licking a donut sort of dispassionately, which was sort of weird and off kilter. And it's clear Vince was going to go in a sci-fi direction that had been known. And Rhea Seehorn from the excellent Better Call Saul returns here as a character called Carol, who needs to save the world. But other than that, we didn't really know much about this show. And that mystery does continue. But I will say episode 1 does deliver a lot of answers by the end of it. So if you're worried about this show dragging on mysteries, I think it moves at a clip. And actually, I think a lot of the questions I had going into this were answered in episode 1, which would surprise me, honestly. So the name Pluribus comes from the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, which means out of many one, which I think fits the show very well, again, without spoiling what it's about exactly. Carol is certainly, the way her character's positioned, she is very isolated in her current situation. So episode 1 in particular moves at an absolute clip. There's really good pace to it. It establishes quickly what's going on. It's very ambitious, has an extremely large scope. There's a massive budget that went into this. There's some excellent camera work and direction. I was very surprised to see that Vince Gilligan actually directed this. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think he directed any of his past episodes in Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, but I could be wrong there. But nevertheless, I was really impressed with the direction on this one. It's a very ambitious show. Apple's put a lot of money into this. It goes all over the world. I'm very excited to see where this story goes. And to be honest, I trust Vince at this point. He has done some incredible character and writing work with both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And I'm very intrigued to see where he takes Carol and this story. And he's very good at creating twists and turns that are unexpected, but still make sense for established characters and motivations. So if you like huge concept sci-fi and what I hope will be continued excellent writing, story, and character development, definitely give this one a go. Try not to look anything up online. Go in as cold as you can and just give it a go. I think if you're not hooked by the first episode, it's probably not for you. I'm certainly hooked. And episode 2 also continues on a different trajectory, whilst also slowing things down a bit, but developing things in a very, very interesting way. So to summarize, highly recommend, give it a watch. Let's get into spoilers. Before we do, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, dropping the video a like. There's this hype button thing. It seems very inconsistent for me, but it should be on mobile if it works for you. It's designed for small creators like myself to give us a little boost in the algorithm and hopefully get us noticed. So please consider subscribing if you're enjoying. Help me get to 1,000. Thank you. So let's get into the details. Full spoilers ahead for episode 1, and then we'll discuss episode 2 next. So, full spoilers for episode 1 of Pluribus ahead. You have been warned. So we open on a massive satellite that's listening out into space for radio waves or frequencies, potentially from other intelligent life. And we have a countdown that says, I think it was 479 days, and it's counting down. So from the off, we know something's going to happen in about 16 months that's going to have an impact of some kind on this story. And these scientists receive some kind of message late in the night that's repeating over and over again every 78 seconds. And they're trying to decode what it is. And one of the scientists thinks he does know what it is. It's in 4 different wavelengths, and it's determined that it's some sort of biological recipe. So immediately, our own curiosity as humans is probably going to be our downfall, is what I was thinking at this point. But then we cut to Carol, who will become our main focal point of this story, the protagonist, the one whose point of view we see predominantly. And we see her at a book reading. She's a successful author for a romance fantasy series, so you can imagine the kind of people who are there to listen to this this book talk. It's all, wine mums, I guess would be the one way to put it. Middle-aged women who are looking to escape into a fantasy realm with your classic hunky man who's there to save the female lead. So she's reading out an excerpt from a book and then doing signings afterwards, and she's there with her publicist, and they seem to have quite a close relationship. They get in the car afterwards and they're holding hands. So clearly there is some sort of romantic relationship going on there. We then cut back to see lots of scientists working in petri dishes, trying to create this biological recipe, essentially. Obviously, there are clear parallels to the events of 2020. I still don't know if I'm allowed to explicitly say what it is on YouTube, so I will just refer to it as the events of 2020. You all know what I'm talking about. And yeah, they're essentially trying to create something that is akin to a virus. So we cut ahead to 79 days, which is counting down now. The scientists have been experimenting for months, trying to decode this biological recipe to find out what it is. Seems to be some sort of virus. They're experimenting on rats. And we come across 2 scientists who are coming in late at night because the results of their tests haven't come through. It doesn't seem to be anything. It's not working. The rats aren't responding in the way they're expecting. So they're basically coming in to, gas them all. Basically wipe the slate clean and go back to square one, I think. So these 2 scientists are in the lab in their full-on suits to prevent any containment leaks. I think you can figure out where this is going. I certainly did. I was like, something's going to go wrong. Here we go. So one of the rats seems to be dead. So they take it out. One of the scientists takes off her glove, the thicker protective glove, wakes up suddenly, bites her, draws blood. She's trying to clean it off. The other scientist tries to catch the rat. While she's cleaning, she goes into some sort of seizure. The other scientist panics, tries to get her cleaned off, washed off to get some help, but it's too late. Whatever has infected the rat has now infected the scientist. And we then see her approach a security guard and kiss him while he's trying to get something out of a vending machine. So that's how this virus has been passed on. And we then see people starting to gather, and none of them are speaking. They're all silently getting on with a task, which is one is licking a swab, and then the other is putting it into a dish and packing it away, and they're putting them in boxes. So clearly they're wanting to spread this thing, and they're all working in unison. So more people are joining this room, getting more boxes, more petri dishes, more swabs, and they're all doing it in time, in synchronization, like some sort of hive mind. So this seems to be what the big mystery is. It's about this psychic virus that takes over everyone's mind and makes them all one collective, which I think is the other spin on the title here, from the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, out of many one. So these many people, humanity, become one underneath this sort of shared hive mind experience. So the spread has begun, the infection has begun to spread. So we then cut to another point in the future, which is 3 hours. So 79 days have passed, essentially. A few months down the line, the countdown's going down. 3 hours left until some event happens. We see Carol getting off a flight at the airport, and she's stopped from driving because she's already had a drink on the plane, and there's a breathalyzer in order to drive the car. So, and she would probably have failed it. So her partner Helen drives instead, and they go to a bar. Carol has an alcoholic drink. Helen doesn't. She refuses. They're celebrating her book selling really well. They've been on tour, but Carol's very cynical and judgmental about the intelligence of her readers. She feels it's not proper art. She doesn't feel like she's taken seriously. Yes, she's got all the success, but she's not very creatively fulfilled at a minimum. And Helen's good. Oh, worse me, all this money and success. However do you cope? It's that kind of vibe. There's a nice little banter here. You get the sense these two have been on the road a long time and have been doing this a long time. And this is Carol's fourth book in her fantasy series. They also talk about that she has a passion project that she's been working on for 4.5 years. And she wants to release it, but she's nervous about doing so because she doesn't know if she'd be taken seriously. And Helen encourages her, it's really good. Everyone will love it. Why don't you take these next few months to polish it? I'll keep the publishers at bay until you can do that and delay the release of your next fantasy series novel. So then they step outside for a cigarette, and this is where things start to go wrong. This is a continuous shot, really well done. Guy gets into his car in the background as Carol and Helen are talking, and they're looking through comments of readers who are fans of the book, who are going like, oh, it's the best one ever, 17 exclamation marks, and making fun of them. And someone asks about the inspiration behind her hunky male character, and she's saying, oh, just put George Clooney. And they're talking about, why don't you put the truth, what can you lose? Clearly alluding to the fact that she's potentially not even into men, and that she just changed it to make it more of a viable story for the masses. So there's this guy, gets him in his pickup truck as this is going on, and he drives it straight into another car. Carol goes, oh my goodness, what's going on? She goes to see him. He's having a seizure and is unresponsive. She then is trying to turn the car off and talk to him, but nothing's happening. She turns around. Helen's got her phone. She's looking at it. She's also got into a seizure, and she just falls backwards like a plank, straight backwards onto her head, causing an injury of some kind. Carol's then freaking out, trying to get her into her car by putting her on a sign. It's not working. She tries to run inside to the bar to get help, but everyone in the bar is having a seizure. And we have this really it's a very distressing situation. The music here is doing a lot of great work in terms of building tension. And just imagining yourself in that scenario, it's got to be, would be awful. Everyone around you is unresponsive, having some sort of seizure. You can't even get through to emergency services because that's down. She can't get any help for her partner, who's also suffering and on the floor. So she manages to get her partner into the pickup truck because, of course, she fails the breathalyzer on her own car. So she starts driving down the road. She sees emergency lights in the distance and goes, oh, thank goodness, someone to help. But it's actually a overturned police car, 2 cops on the road just strewn across. And again, there's some really great camera work here, some really good shots where they've clearly mounted the camera on the vehicle that Carol is driving. And you just see Ria's expressions and emotions as she's going through this incredibly intense situation. And you just really buy into it. And she's just such a wonderful job here. And all these long one takes do a great job of like keeping you in this moment, in this very intense situation. She drives to the hospital. Same situation there. Everyone in the hospital is in a seizure. She can't get a doctor to respond. She then goes back into the pickup truck where her friend is. She's in the back of the load bay, and there's no heartbeat. She's unresponsive. She's bleeding. Clearly, whatever caused her to go into a seizure and fall backwards onto her head has caused some sort of internal injury that means she unfortunately passes away. Carol's very distraught and upset. At that point, everyone in the hospital suddenly comes back. Now, there's no screaming. There's no, oh, are you okay? There's actually no one speaking at all apart from Carol. And they're all just starting to clear things up. There's an ambulance that's driven into an electric pole that's like flashing lights, like electric pulses. So you get this very dramatic lighting of like flashing every now and then throughout this scene. And Carol's like, what's going on? What the F is going on? Very distraught. What's wrong with you people? they all turn around and look at her and go, "We just want to help, Carol," all in unison. And oh my goodness, it's so creepy. Absolutely freaked me out. I was like, wow, that is creepy. And there's loads of extras here. Again, the budget on this show must be nuts because they're driving through streets and there's all of this chaos and fire going on because she immediately gets in a pickup truck with her dead partner still in the back and drives off, and she's driving through, and this again another excellent one take. She's driving through the street of there's these fires, cars on fire, people on fire. There's people bringing their cars around, someone just then getting into it and them taken to the hospital. People are all collectively helping to clear up the situation. We see civilians grabbing fire extinguishers to put out fires on buses, and Carol's just driving through all of this. And again, we just stay locked on her face as we see all this chaos behind her that she's driving by. Really effective, really well done. She gets to her house. She realizes she's left her keys. She can't get in. And then these two kids, it's always kids that make things really creepy. These two kids from the neighborhood come by and go, "Hey, Carol, we can help you. Remember, you left your spare key in 2019 under that plant pot over there. There you go. We just want to help Carol." Carol freaks out, obviously, and is like, "Leave me alone. Just leave me alone." So these two kids, again, they're all speaking they're both speaking in unison. So it's really off-putting. They say, "Okay, Carol, just give us a few minutes to clear out." And it pans to the neighborhood, and everyone is stepping out of their houses, getting into their cars, piling in, and just driving off. And she is left completely alone as she's closing her blinds, blocking her windows. She sees this happening. She manages to drag her dead partner inside, and she's flipping through TV channels, and it's all static. She can't get through. No service on her phone. She's like, "What the heck am I going to do?" She then finds a channel that's working, and it's cut to the White House press office. And she's like, "Oh, thank goodness. God bless America." I think she said something like that. Don't know what to do. Guy in a suit. And then a banner on the TV says, "Please call us, Carol. We know you must have questions. No pressure. We really want to talk to you. Call this number." And it's just a guy at the press conference just standing still, just sort of waiting for Carol to call him. Presumably the president of the United States, or at least some really high up government official. This is just such a unique and fascinating concept for a situation, for like a scene. This is just brilliant. Imagine being able to talk to someone on your TV. It's really cool idea. She of course grabs a whiskey. I mean, she pours a single, then she does I think even more than a triple. She just fills that glass up, and I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, you've had quite the day. So she calls this number and has a chat with this guy who turns out to be I think he's from the forestry. He was like a forestry secretary or something. He's like one of the highest government officials because the president and a lot of the staff have unfortunately passed away in this event. And she's asking questions like, "Who are you? What's going on?" And he's reassuring, "Don't worry, you're safe. We just want to help. This isn't an alien invasion." So he explains that there was this signal sent from 600 light years away that scientists decoded approximately 16 months ago into some sort of biological recipe to make a virus in a lab, which is what's happened. That's broken out. It's now spread everywhere. Everyone on Earth is now a unified hive mind, a kind of psychic virus. That's how he describes it. It's a psychic link. Don't really know what it is, but everyone now has shared thoughts and memories across the world, apart from her and 10 other people globally. So he's trying to reassure her, your life is your own. You are safe. You're in no danger. Don't worry about anything. Is there anything we can do to help? Just dial 24/7 if you want anything. Please use the landline though, because mobiles aren't working at the moment. You may want to stay at your home because it might be quite distressing for you while we clear everything up. Clear up all the mess. I mean, Yeah, it's just such a memorable and unique scenario. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this, and it's just a really cool concept and idea. They ask, "Do you want help moving the body?" The remains of your partner, "We're really sorry this happened." She's like, "Absolutely not. Don't come anywhere near me." And then the final thing that happens is that she goes, what are you going to do? What are you trying to do? It's like, well, we want you to join us. Like, we don't know why you and these 11 other people are unable to join us right now, due to some sort of biological anomaly. But rest assured, we're going to figure it out so you can join us. And she's like, well, obviously, I don't want that to happen. Like, I want to stay myself and me, and I don't want to join you. Absolutely not. She's a very passionate person. She is obviously very emotional and upset by everything that's happened. She's like, I want nothing to do with you at all. I don't want to join you. You say my life is my own, but then what are you going to do when you figure out how to essentially bring me to your side? She hangs up in distress, curled up on the sofa, her partner dead on the floor beside her. It's the end of episode 1, and my goodness, did it cover a lot of ground and set up a lot of interesting stakes and questions. I think, what I was thinking after this first episode is, what happens to the 11 after this? Can this be stopped or reversed? I think the concept of people speaking in union was seriously creepy and weird. Essentially, everyone part of this collective hive mind, whatever you want to call it, is dead because there's no individuality anymore. There's no personality. It's all just one unified mind. So anyone can do anything, and we see more of that in episode 2, which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, this was a really well-directed, well-crafted, excellent piece of television. I'm hooked. I'm so into this. I love high-concept sci-fi. I'm really intrigued to see where the story goes. And as it happens, episode 2 also was released. So we're going to go straight into episode 2. Thank you for listening so far. Let's get straight into episode 2. I'm going to just, again, go straight into events, breakdowns, theories. Let's go. And before we do that, once again, if you're enjoying this video, please feel free to subscribe. Press that hype button if you've got it on mobile. Help me out. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. Okay, so episode 2, things slow down. This feels a bit more familiar ground in terms of those longer resting episodes of Breaking Bad in particular. We cut to a woman in some Middle Eastern foreign country. She's very dirty, disheveled. She's walking up a hill. She comes across an upturned car. There's a man injured in there. She puts on gloves. We then see a lorry pull up with a guy. He gets out. He gets a large rug of some kind. Comes help the woman get the body into that rug and starts loading it into this lorry. We then see another man come on a moped. He gets off his helmet, passes it to this woman. She gets on the moped. He helps the guy load the body in. There's already several bodies in here. So this is the next day. The cleanup operation has already begun. And this is somewhere else in the world entirely. We then follow her on a moped. She's just riding through the city. You can see smoke and flames in the background. And that was something we saw in episode 1 as well, as Carol was driving through Albuquerque, that there was just flames and smoke everywhere because people had just passed out during the joining, as they called it, and had seizures. So anyone flying a plane or driving a car would have crashed and potentially died or be severely injured. And then we follow this woman on a moped, and she goes to an airport where there's this huge, looks like a military plane. She gets off the moped. She gets in the plane, starts flying it. There's these two people who've crewed it and gotten it ready. They drive off into their own separate vehicles, including another guy who just gets on the moped and goes. So this woman gets into the pilot seat and starts flying it and knows exactly what she's doing because, again, collectively, the whole world's knowledge is in every person. So everyone can do everything, essentially, which is, again, really cool and interesting idea, but perhaps not worth the price of admission. We then see this foreign woman land at an airport, get out the airplane, just take off her clothes, get into a shower. There's people there who are preparing a wig and makeup and clothes while she's having a shower. It's at that point we then cut back to Carol, and she is digging a grave for her partner in her backyard. She's been out there Outside for a bit, it looks like she's dishevelled, dirty, sweating. She's been at it for a while. We then hear someone at her garden gate. It's this foreign woman. She's got a wig on now. She's all been cleaned up. She's wearing a jumper and jeans. She looks completely different. And she has travelled all the way, presumably from her home country, to Carol's place. We don't know why yet. She talks to Carol, says like, "Oh, could you please have some water? We're worried about you." Carol's like, "What are you? You're watching me? Wait." And she's like, "Yeah, there's a Reaper drone up in the sky. We're keeping an eye on you." And she's like, "What? I can't see anything." He's like, "Well, it's 40,000 feet. Never mind. That was a bad idea. It's gone now. It's gone now." And she's like, "Please, all the leading world's experts say you're really close to heat exhaustion. So please, we'd all feel a lot better if you had some water." And so Carol's very suspicious. Like, "What have you put in the water? You're going to turn me into one of you?" And she's like, "Oh no, we're months away from being able to do that." So that's very reassuring, of course. And she takes the water from her and just pours it onto the floor in front of her, just giving her a good old stares like, rebelling, stubborn, "I'm not going to listen to you." She then has a closer look at this person's face, and a look comes, she pulls a look that's like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "Wait there." She runs inside, grabs one of her books. On the cover is this male protagonist, and she holds it up next to this woman. And it's like she is the spitting image of the female version of her male fantasy romance novel character. So she's like, "What the hell is going on here?" Only me and Helen knew that I originally was going to have that character be a female. We're the only two people in the world who know that, which means, and then this woman says, "Helen joined us before she passed. All her memories are with us. Do you want me to tell you how much she loved you?" And Carol goes, "You're a ghoul, you absolute abomination." Like, she completely freaks out and just yells at her, like, gets really angry in her face. This then causes her to go into a seizure. And Carol freaks out, drives off, and sees there's everyone else is also in a seizure. And she's trying to help this guy who's been hung up by like a crane lift. And she's trying to work the controls and get him down because he's dangling in a pretty precarious situation. But then they all come to, and one of the guys says, "Hey, Carol, we can help with that now. We can take over. Thanks." She's like, "I was trying to help." She's like, "Yeah, we know. Thanks. Thanks for helping." So she goes back home. The foreign woman isn't there now, but she dials the number 0 from her landline and says, "The pirate lady can come back if she wants." I was like, "Okay, Carol, that's great." There's something about the toxic positivity angle, I think. But there's a genuineness and also almost a benevolence to this. It's the idea of like, what if everyone was collectively on the same page and agreed, and wouldn't that be wonderful? On the one hand, yes, but then what we would lose would be ourselves and our individuality. And yes, it means there's conflict, and yes, that means there's problems that need to be solved, and not everyone wants to solve them in the same way or even thinks they're problems, but that's what makes us human. And taking that away is a very interesting question to consider, and that's what this show does really well. So Carol getting angry causes them to go into seizures, and they explain that your emotions deeply affect us. So if you direct intense, particularly angry emotions at us, it causes us to sort of like shut down and go into a seizure. And Carol asks about how many people died, and she doesn't answer. Carol says dozens, hundreds, doesn't answer. Carol then requests to meet the other people like her who have not been affected. She asks for the English-speaking ones. Do they want to meet with her? And this woman, she goes into sort of a trance, and Carol goes, "Oh, no, wait, no, I didn't mean ask now." And then she sits up for a moment and goes like, "Yeah, they've all said yes." So Carol hops on a plane to Spain to meet these people. I don't think any of them have English as their primary language. They have as it as a second or third language. So she gets on this plane. She's sitting right at the back of this jumbo jet, not sitting in first class or business class. She's like right at the back in economy. She doesn't want any of the so-called luxuries this situation might afford her. And so she meets these other people at this airport, and they all have family members there. So again, like, man, what a dilemma. You have people whose wives, whose sons, whose parents are part of this collective hive mind, and they're not. So some want to join, some don't. People are confused. There's one person in particular who's really angry at Carol because her outburst caused the death of her grandfather, who she was in a car with when this happened. Because this happened everywhere, because they're all sharing a collective hive mind. Essentially, it affects all of them. There's one person who is late. Turns out he requested specifically for Air Force One to bring him there. So he arrives and he's on this plane with a bunch of supermodels. He's very flamboyant and out there. He's clearly having the time of his life, essentially being able to ask for whatever he wants, because this collective hive mind, they just want to help. They just want to help them. And I think there's certainly an ulterior motive to this. I think it's just keep these 11 anomalies happy and content while we desperately figure out a way to get them to join us, to figure out why they can't yet. And I imagine as the show goes on, these people will slowly join. And that's the countdown that Carol and potentially these other people have in order to fix or reverse whatever's happened before everyone is taken over. So they're having this discussion. Carol makes sure, is there a listening device in this room on the plane of Air Force One? And she's like, oh yeah, there's a recording. I'll turn that off. So they do mean your life is your own. They're being very open, I guess, allowing them the illusion of choice for now and freedom. So Carol opens up and is like, what are we going to do about this? Like, we've got to figure it out. Like, we are humanity's last hope. What are we going to do? So firstly, they're like, well, did you cause this seizure thing? Because that affected us really badly. It's like, oh, and that person says, my grandfather died. And she's like, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that would happen, but we need to figure this out. There's a younger girl and she's like, I just want to join my family. It sounds wonderful. Like, they say it's an amazing thing to be part of. And Carol's like, you don't want to be part of this. Like, you think you do, but you don't. And everyone asks, like, did you ask them what it's like? And Carol's like, no. It's like, hands up everyone who asked what it's like. And they all put their hands up. It's like, how can you say what we should do or what we should think if you haven't even asked them what it's like? Like, you're not even educated on this situation. They all say it's wonderful to be part of. Like, why would we not want to do this? And the guy who came on Air Force One, he's like, from my position, this doesn't look like the end of the world. This feels like peace on earth. This is amazing. Like, this is awesome. Obviously, he's out there hanging out with supermodels and riding on Air Force One, so he's having the time of his life. And he says, how about some lunch? So all the collective hive mind people have been standing out on the tarmac this whole time. So he's like, hey, we have some lunch. So they have some lunch in the hills. They continue chatting a bit, and they've been served food that is like very specific to their past and their core memories. They found like exact things that they ate years ago that they still talk about, so again, they're just catering to their needs and their desires, in my opinion, just long enough to keep them placated until they can get them all to join them. The guy came on Air Force One, he's like, if I fished, would you, and then kill the fish, would you cook them for me? He's like, yeah, but you wouldn't kill them yourselves. No. They let out all the animals at the zoo. They say, we can't kill anyone or anything. That's not in our nature. We don't want to do that. They talk about, what if you step about on an insect? Like, well, we try not to do it deliberately. There's no deliberate killing that goes on here. So their preference is vegetarian, essentially. So that's an interesting quandary. And Carol gets upset by this. It's like, oh, good for you. You don't kill anyone. Remind me, how many people died during this so-called joining, this amazing, most wonderful day in humanity's history? And they're very reluctant to answer. She's asking her companion at this point. And she doesn't want to answer. But she does, and it's 880 million people died during the, quote, joining. And they explain, look, this we didn't want to do it this way. We'd been doing it peacefully for months, having thousands of people join every day. We started, with the military and like Area 51 and all those people. Obviously, they're important, so word wouldn't get out. We've been doing this for months peacefully, but the military found out, and so the process had to be accelerated to avoid further bloodshed. So that's why they did it globally all at once, which, although resulted in the deaths of 880 million people, was probably seen as a survival, essentially. If they'd gotten wiped out by the military, then they wouldn't be in control of humanity at this point. So Carol's like, oh, well, you're, mass murders, da, da, da. The woman whose grandfather died while she was in the car says, well, you killed 11 million people with your outburst. And Carol's like, what? And everything goes silent. And Carol just gets up and pours herself a drink. Seems appropriate again, but she's clearly got a bit of a problem there. And Carol just gets up, like, I'm done here. Like, you're not listening to me. This woman also has a son, and she's trying to get the son to answer about very technical, surgical information that, of course, he wouldn't know. And this woman's convinced that her son is still her son, still her boy. I mean, as a father to children myself, I could not imagine being in that situation. It would be incredibly harrowing. So that is an advantage Carol has, is as awful as it was that her partner died, she is now alone. So there's nothing tying her to this collective group and no desire to join them. So she storms off and she says to everyone, you are all traitors to the human race. Have fun, be merry, go to the Guggenheim Museum, eat all your food, but this is going to end humanity and you're all traitors. Pretty intense. She walks off. She then falls because she's been drinking so much. And so the collective people, they all go to help her. And Carol's like, get off me, get off me, get off me, get the F off me, gets really angry. That causes another seizure to occur. And, at this dinner table, people are trying to help their family members. And and this mother's trying to help her son, is like, it's okay. So Carol's just distraught. We then cut to her the next morning. She dials 0. Says like, how many people died? Like, I don't want to tell you, it's going to upset you. Did everyone else leave? Yeah, all but one person. We can make you bacon from that time in 2016 that you really liked. Why don't you come down, Carol? It'll be nice. So she talks to this guy, and this guy basically wants to take her companion with him to Las Vegas to join his harem, basically. And so then we have a very interesting discussion about free will, and this guy's been sleeping with all these women, so she's like, they're not even choosing to do this. So he brings the companion and Carol's companion in and goes like, do you feel like I've been anything but respectful to all of you? And all you women's like, no, we love affection, we welcome it, it's all good. So Carol's like, okay, great. So you're asking me permission to take her? Like, what the heck? Am I like her pimp and she's gonna be your sex slave? Like, what the hell? This is like completely insane. And Carol forces her companion, who she never actually learned the name of, which, says something, never learned her name, but asks her to choose between going back home with Carol or going with this guy to Las Vegas on Air Force One. And she says, well, we can't do that. It will cause harm to one of you, and we can't cause harm to people. Like, that's not what we do. So she gets mad at this guy. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, it's like, what is wrong with you? Is it just something, innately wrong with you, or like, what's going on? She leaves. She gets on her plane. She's looking out the window. She sees her companion getting aboard Air Force One, closes the window, looks pretty upset with how this entire thing has gone. This has not gone the way she thought. She thought she might be able to get people alongside, start to execute a plan to reverse the thing. She tried asking, does anyone have a background in biology or anything, that we can do to figure this out? Carol suddenly says, stop the plane. She runs off, and she runs in front of Air Force One as it's taxiing to the runway and stands in front of it. And it's like, duh, 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 and it stops. And then that's where episode 2 ends. So presumably she's wanting to get her companion back or have some sort of discussion. I don't know. But for me, this was fantastic first 2 episodes. I have no idea where this show is going to go next. And I love that. Like, I really do. I think this is an idea so rich with ideas and possibilities and unique scenarios. I think it raises really interesting questions about the nature of humanity. What would we sacrifice or give up for world peace? Is that a good ultimate aim to strive for, or do we need to embrace our individualities as people and strive forwards in that way?
So I've just been editing this video and I had another thought about what potentially the end goals of this collective hive mind might be. So it was mentioned earlier in episode 1 that in order to send the message that they received from 600 light years away, there would need to be a radar dish the size of Africa just to amplify that far enough across the stars. So maybe the aim of this collective hive mind is to continue to spread it throughout the galaxy and the universe. And so maybe they're going to try and get collective humanity to build a giant radar dish in order to spread it. Don't know, just the thought I had. Thought it was worth mentioning.
So I'm going to leave you with this. What would you do with this power if you were one of the individuals who was not affected by this hive mind? You could ask for anything, do anything, go anywhere in the world. Would you travel? Would you despair or embrace this situation? I think I would probably completely and totally freak out. I'd obviously be primarily concerned with my family, but assuming that I was the only one not affected, I'd probably just resign to despair. Probably build some Lego, maybe play some drums at a stadium or something. But man, what a crazy scenario that would be. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you enjoy Pluribus? Are you excited for what the next episodes are going to be? I believe we're going to go weekly now all the way until Boxing Day this year. So I'm going to keep trying to do these weekly breakdowns, rundowns, my thoughts and feelings on the episode, discuss theories. I will put a pinned comment saying full spoilers in the comments. So feel free to go wild and discuss anything and everything. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much for listening. If you got this far, and I will see you next week for another episode. Please subscribe. I'm working on my biggest project yet. I cannot wait to share it with you, but it's still very much in the editing stage. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.